Welcome back to the Club Junkie Podcast. Hopefully having a good week. It is Thursday. We're getting close to Father's Day. Hopefully you have some golf on the agenda. Let's hope so. I think I'm actually playing on Sunday, so that'll be pretty cool. We're going to play tonight in the league. Before we get into today's episode, just want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Titleist and the Pro V1 and Pro V1X golf ball. We all aspire to outperform the player we were yesterday. This takes practice, commitment, and trusting your golf ball will perform the way you need it to on every type of shot. The Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X offer advanced technology and performance that rewards your best swings and helps you shoot lower scores. Both models are exceptionally long, deliver consistent flight, and feature unrivaled control. The Pro V1 is the best combination of distance, spin, and feel in the game and delivers a penetrating ball flight. Where Pro V1X, the ball I usually play, it flies higher and spins more in the short game while still giving you low spin on longer shots to maximize your distance. Find out more about Pro V1 and Pro V1X, including which is the best choice for your game at Titleist.com. So here we are, another weekend. Not traveling this week. I will be gone next week and the week after that. But yeah, we're just rolling, man. It's busy time of the year for some reason, but we're having a good time and hitting some clubs, playing some golf, and yeah, it's been great. So back home this week. U.S. Open week, got a lot going on, which is crazy. It's going to be exciting to see Pinehurst number 2. I was just, as you guys, if you listened last week, I was down in Pinehurst this week. Did not get to play number 2, but I got to play number 10, and it was unbelievable. So the whole Pinehurst property. So it'll be exciting to watch the players play number 2, see how hard it's going to be, and all that, because I know 10 was tough. So, but today we're going to talk about 2 sets of irons. They've got a third, but I guess I'll mention them at the end. But yeah, we're going to talk about some irons. Been hitting these a little bit, which has been nice. I've been hitting a bunch of irons this year. Irons has been kind of my thing this year, I feel like. But I've been hitting some more irons. But this week, we're going to talk a little bit about the Wilson Dynapower Forged and the Wilson Staff Model CB. So 2 kind of different models out there. But, yeah, they've got both from Wilson, and I know we talked a little bit about Wilson last week, but it just was fitting then after playing the Dynapower Forged last week, and that I've played the CB a handful of times throughout the year. Why not make it now, the time to talk about them? But, yeah, so I was out there last week at Pinehurst number 10, out there with Wilson Golf, hanging out, getting to see everything that they have going on, all the kind of the ideas and all that, and it's a pretty cool group. I think we're going to see some really exciting stuff from Wilson Golf in the very near future. I know, just talking from those the people that work there, they're super high on the future and what's coming, whether it's clubs, apparel, whatever. They're super excited, and honestly, they're excited for what they have now, because they've got some good products out there that they're just trying to get people to try. Just try them, see if you like them, and I think a lot of people who do try them and give them a fair shake will enjoy hitting the stuff. So the first iron we'll talk about is going to be the Wilson Dynapower Forged. So this kind of replaces, remember the C300 that was out? There was a C300 Forged that was out a couple years ago. It might have ended last year. They made an all-chrome version. They made a black version for a little bit. But it was a multi-piece forged iron, kind of built as a kind of distance iron. And this is the evolution of that. So the Dynapower Forged is a multi-piece head. It's got basically a variable thickness face, thin face that's welded onto the body, and it basically has a really good look to it. It's slightly bigger than a lot of than some distance irons out there. It's a little bit larger. I think it's kind of on the I haven't set it down next to an I-230, but it's kind of right about that. The top line's a little bit thicker, not a ton of offset, pretty minimal, but just an overall just slightly larger blade with minimal offset that has some speed to it, but also has some control. On the sole, you'll see the typical power slots that Wilson's been using for a long, long time, or power holes that they've been using for a while now. These actually run through just 7-iron. I believe 8-9 pitch do not have any power holes whatsoever. They're redesigned for this iron to ensure that the lower part of the face definitely flexes, and those shots that you hit, a groove or two low off the face still get up go and have some ball speed. It's basically got a higher MOI, higher MOI design. They've got some internal weighting low and out in the toe and out in this iron. And yeah, just overall hot face designed by AI. I mean, I know other brands kind of promote that, but they used AI to design their face as well. So just an overall good distance iron with a good look. I know when I posted the photos of these in the Golf WX forum, a lot of people were really impressed with how these turned out, how they look. Like I said, they're large, but they're not super huge. Like when you set them down, they kind of remind me a little bit of like a ZX5. Not the crazy thin top line, but not a ton of offset. A little bit bigger. If you hit it, don't hit it dead center, you're still going to get away with a good shot. And then the badging I think is really clean. I think they did a nice job. Just got a little bit of the Dynapower Forged. Got the Wilson shield. Just a little bit of decoration there, but they keep it simple, all chrome, all silver, just a little bit of black and red, the typical colors. These are chrome irons, which I know you don't see very often anymore. Almost everything is kind of satin or kind of a bee blasted finish or whatever. These are chrome, and they definitely are shiny. When you pull them out of the box, they definitely have a nice shine to them. These still look pretty new, even though I've played with them. They still look pretty new and pretty solid. So chrome does actually hold up usually pretty well. I mean, it shows some fingerprints, but if you give them a little wipe down with some soap and water, they end up looking really good. But overall, the shape is a little more rounded than some irons. It's not super chiseled. The toe is squared off. But it's still got like a little softness to all the edges and all the in the top line, everything. It's all kind of been massaged a little bit to look a little softer on the eyes. So overall, I think the shape is really nice. I like them. Setting them, when I first open them up and you open them next to like the MB and the CB, you kind of go, wow, those are big. Once you get them out on the course and they're just by themselves and you put them behind the ball, they're really not that big. I mean, they're definitely got a little real estate, but they're nothing crazy huge. And the one that I like too is that they didn't go crazy long heel to toe with a really shallow face height. Like the face height's still tall as well, and just proportionately, I think that makes it really visually appealing to me. When I get irons that are really short head to bottom to top, they just look stretched out and weird. These actually look really good and proportionate from a dress, I think. And the graphics are good. Like I said, there's not a whole lot there. Wilson kept it very clean, very classy. Nothing too crazy, and just overall good-looking set of irons. These came in just like a stock set, so these weren't like fit to me or anything like that. I just took them out as they were with some KBS Tour lights and some Lamkin Crossline 360 grips, so nothing too crazy. And the other interesting thing is that these they're strong lofted, and that's fine. I know people get there and go, oh, the loft jacking and all this. Honestly, like every engineer I've talked to, all that, like if they didn't push the lofts a little bit stronger, the way they were able to lower the center of gravity and move it around and stuff, you'd have irons that launch to the moon that don't go anywhere. But, as people complain about it, but these aren't insanely strong. They play off a 44 pitching wedge, a 30 and a half degree 7 iron, and a 21 and a half degree 4 iron, which is nowadays pretty standard. I think the 44 pitch is really not that strong. I mean, we're seeing stuff in the 43, 42. It's about, if you consider 45 standard, you're playing about 1 degree strong from that. But nothing too wild, I don't think. And honestly, when I had them on the course, they were definitely long, but it wasn't like you were firing these low bullets, at the green or anything like that. Feel on them is solid. It's really good. They're actually dead center. They're really soft. Not quite as soft and solid as a CB, but they've got a good soft feel to them. You can definitely feel the face is thin. The ball just wants to jump off the center of the face when you hit it square. But it's soft. It's responsive. And you're met with like just a little audible click to them when you hit them. So when you hit it dead flush, you'll get a little audible click, just to kind of know where you hit it on the face. But there's a little bit of that, nothing crazy. I think it falls in line with any of the multi-piece forged irons out there. Just that little audible sound to them, and then the ball just goes. And like I said, when you hit it solid, you're going to feel that ball compress, and the ball just wants to jump off the face, and it wants to go. And it does go. These are probably, I haven't hit every single iron out there. I know there's a lot out there. In terms of kind of I guess I'll toss these in kind of the player's distance category a little bit. I think these are one of the longer irons I've hit out there. I got them on the course, and definitely as I kind of talk about them, definitely some long shots out there. But feel and sound is really good. Like I said, just a little bit of click. It's not too loud. I think they've dialed it in pretty well. And while you don't get that heavy thud like you do with the MB and CB, you still get a good soft feeling iron that for being multi-piece and being, a little bigger and all that is pretty pleasant. I think they did a nice job with it, and I think if you go hit them, you'll be pleasantly surprised by how they sound and feel. And I don't believe there's anything in there. I believe they're hollow body. I don't think they're filled with foam or anything like that. I think it's an unsupported face. So all that, there's no echoes, no crazy loud noises, anything like that. They sound and feel pretty darn good. So these ones here, I had them out on the course. I actually played them at number 10. I have that's 4 through pitching wedge. So when we went and played Pinehurst 10, I just snagged them out and went and played with them. And it was the first time I played with them. I never had hit them before that. So it was kind of like a trial by fire. I think I hit like 7 balls on the range, hit some good ones, and then it was like out to the course. But they perform actually really, really well. The soles definitely have some bounce to them. They've definitely got a little bit of camber to them. They definitely have some radius to them, and they actually perform pretty well. The Pinehurst is way firmer than anything I'd play here, and there, you could smash them into the ground, and they would just fly through with a small, tiny little divot. It would hit the turf, start to get in, and just say, nope, I'm out, and out it went, and it wasn't bad at all. I would say the turf interaction, it got through quick, and the turf interaction was solid on a really firm condition. So as fast as it got through, the very minimal amount of digging, all that, these are going to perform well in the softest conditions with no problem. So definitely not a problem there in terms of turf interaction. I think they're pretty good. And even when you get down to the 9-iron, the pitching wedge, which have a little wider soles to them, they still get through the turf really quickly, really smoothly. And honestly, I think like the lack of power holes, you can almost feel those things glide through the turf just a hair faster, which is interesting, because when I hit those, it just felt like they just like hot knife through butter, just right through and right back out. So turf interaction is really good. Sound and feel is really solid. I was hitting basically the Wilson staff model golf ball the whole time, and honestly never lost a ball out there. I played the same ball the whole time, which was pretty cool. So played the same ball, made it through, and feel of that off this face, really, really good. First shot I hit with these was honestly number 1. We were playing, I think as I said it before, we were playing the tips, which made everything crazy long. So the first hole I had about 160 yards, 170 yards, something like that in. I think it was downwind, so I think we had 170. I hit 7-iron, which is using my 160 club, and hit just pretty much a perfect shot. Just absolutely struck it well, and basically hit the middle of the green, rolled all the way back. I was in like kind of the back right because everything funneled right. I even hit kind of the left side of the green, and it all just funneled right and back, and ended up having like 25-foot putt up the hill, but I hit a great shot in there. I didn't know it would roll that far, but went a little farther than I thought. Made it, like I said, was kind of the back of the edge of the green. But flight is nice and high. I would call it a mid-high ball flight. Definitely higher than some of the stuff I've been hitting, even with the stronger lofts. The ball gets up in the air super easily. I know the shafts are kind of higher launching as well, but this thing gets up fast, and it's really easy to elevate the ball off the turf. I had no problem on many shots hitting these things high in the air and hitting them solid. And overall, I mean, other than some really kind of crazy weird lies, I pretty much hit it solid all day with all the irons. I don't think I ever hit 4-iron, but basically I hit 6 down, hit all those. I'm trying to remember if I hit 5. I think I did off the tee on a par 3 because it was pretty long, but it was just overall really easy to elevate, mid-high ball flight. I wouldn't say they're crazy low spin either. I mean, they definitely hit the green, had some holding power. Never felt like they were out of control, anything like that. Never hit. I mean, you don't have flyers there because you don't really have rough. I mean, there's a little bit of rough, but it's not long. It's kind of wispy. You don't really get that clump of grass behind the ball that creates flyers or anything like that. So spin wise, seemed pretty good. A lot of control to them, and honestly, if you really wanted to, you can work the ball with them. You can hit a high draw, you can hit a high fade, you can, flighting them down may be a slight bit more of a challenge, but you could definitely do it. I was able to hit some lower shots, not on purpose, but hit some lower shots out there. But the first hole definitely hit it, to the back of the green. Was kind of shocked that it went that far. I thought, for sure I was kind of playing it to be kind of up front. I thought maybe if I hit this well, the wind will help it a little. And then I'll just be, pin higher right in front. and ended up being at the back of the green, which was fine. And then kind of thought about that on the first par 3, where it was about, I think it was like 200 up the hill, and it was a little bit into the wind, and I was debating between hitting 4-iron and 7-wood. And at the time, I just said, heck with it. Let's just go 4-iron and just see what happens. I left it out just a little bit right, but I was just beyond the pin. I ended up hitting the right side of the green, and it bounced into the bunker, which was a bummer. But honestly, hit a solid shot, and it went like crazy. And even the 4-iron got up in the air. I was pretty shocked. Now, granted, that was off a tee, but even the 4-iron got up pretty easily and was easy to elevate, especially off the tee on like a par 3. Easily carried it into the wind, 200, 195, and like I said, just left it out a little bit right, and it bounced into the bunker, which wasn't an absolute huge deal, but hit another good shot there. And then when we got into closer to the back nine, I think 17 was a par 3, all over water, and it had kind of a weird tiered green to it, and it was like a 170 on the number. Wind was just again kind of like a cross. It wasn't really helping, wasn't really hurting. Absolutely flush 6-iron, and it basically landed just beyond. It landed over the pin and rolled to the back of the green. I mean, the greens were super firm, and up on basically a little hill behind the green. It was crazy long, had a perfect little draw to it, and it just I hit it too far. But they were really easy to hit. I mean, everything I hit in there, whether it was short irons, pitching wedge, into greens, whatever, super easy to hit. I missed some greens, but it wasn't more just, I'd hit it right or hit it left. It wasn't anything where I was really mishitting it horribly. I did hit a couple, like one or two shots that I absolutely just should have clanked off the toe on the 7-iron. I had a funky lie where the ball was way above my feet, and I caught it way high on the toe. Ball still got out, carried over the next bunker, got it into the fairway. I was okay, but I was kind of shocked. As poorly as I hit it, I thought for sure that ball was going to be, in the bunker in front of me, because it was basically one big fairway bunker, another bunker in front of me, and then fairway. And I got it over the next bunker, out into the fairway, and I was fine. It didn't carry forever, but it still went high. It got out there, and it went pretty straight. It went pretty much where I was aiming, just not quite as far. So stability on them, very good. I think they're very forgiving. Kind of very little curvature. I mean, I'm a guy who I hit draws. I just do. I see a good amount of draw on most of my shots, and with these, there's very little draw. I mean, you saw a little bit draw on 17, saw a little draw on a couple shots here and there, but overall, most of the shots were extremely straight. There was nothing that was, crazy, had a crazy movement going, right, left, anything like that. It was just an easy set of irons to hit, and they just performed. I mean, they really did. I was really surprised. I know most of the guys out there were playing CBs, MBs, and that, but myself and one of the members had the Dynapower Forged, and I'll tell you what, they were impressive. I don't think I set a high enough bar for them, so they easily exceeded it. But they played pretty well. Like I said, the Soul played pretty well out of the waist bunkers as well. I spent, unfortunately, a decent amount of time in there, and I hit, I think, every shot out of those fairway or out of that waist bunker area. I pretty much hit every one of them fat, and was able to still at least get the ball out and get it back into play, even with poor swings like that. But the Dynapower Forge was really solid. I think if you look at this iron and you basically look at somebody who like me, like kind of a 10 handicap, probably even a little higher than that. This iron is something that is going to be easily played. You're not going to look down on it and think you're playing a big old shovel. You're going to hit some really good shots with it when you hit it solid. You're going to get away with some shots that you don't hit solid. And overall, it's just going to help you kind of play some pretty easy, better golf. And it really does. And you're going to be rewarded with good sound and feel, and a look that doesn't make you, feel like you're a worse player than you are, which is really nice. But I think Wilson did a good job with these. On the power holes, I don't remember hitting anything too crazy thin. But I mean, the face overall just had a lot of speed to it. When you missed a little off the toe, off the heel, all that, you didn't notice a huge drop off in distance. Things pretty much stayed, where they were. They didn't end up like perfect, but I mean, if you hit something a little bit, off the toe or low toe, I was still able to, I mean, now granted, it's a little different golf because if you leave something short, it'll still roll up to the green and a lot of times get on the green. So it was a little hard to tell how poorly those shots turned out because it's just different golf than here. In Metro Detroit, you hit some of those shots, they don't roll up onto the green. They hit, they stop. A lot of the greens are slightly elevated, so as things run up there, they just slow down. They're not as fast and firm. So those type of things were a little deceiving. But I mean, I got every shot basically that I hit solid. I was probably over, at the pin or over it. Where with a lot of irons, I come up a little bit short. You kind of play into certain yardages and all that, and if you're in between clubs. But this thing here, I never had to worry about coming up short unless you pulled less club. If you pulled less club, you come up short. But if you were, hitting the right club, you were getting it to the hole, if not flying it just a little bit. And I think if these were to go in my bag kind of full time, definitely I'd play about a half a club down. So 6 iron, like this is 7 iron, usually 160. I would say this is a 165 club, depending on wind and all that. But I would basically move these things up about half a club, just because even the pitching wedge, pitching wedge for me is a 130 club, but I usually have to hit it pretty solid to hit it 130. And I'm not super consistent with hitting at 130, and this thing was pretty darn easy to get out there, hit at 130, and it just went that far. So easy to get up in the air, easy to hit it far. And that's the thing. If you're looking for distance, without getting into some crazy strong lofts and some really big forgiving club heads, this is one of those options that, hey, maybe it adds a half a club to your distance without, while you still look down at it and are pleased with how it looks from address. So just a really solid iron. Again, I think mishits went really well. I think solid shots go a long, long way. And the turf interaction is really solid. There's a good amount of sole there. The sole's got, kind of nice and rounded, and it gets to the turf quick. So just an overall really solid iron. I think they did a nice job with this. I like it. I think it feels better than the C300. I had those when they first came out. I took them out and played them and everything. The C300s were fine. They weren't bad irons. I think these are a huge step above. I think they're longer. I think they sound and feel better. And just overall appearance-wise, I think they may be. I'd have to see in terms of size if they're any bigger. These Dynapower Forged, but they look very similar with just better performance, sound, and feel. So really solid option. They have you can basically check out all the specs basically on Wilson.com. But they have kind of everything there. But yeah, I mean, forged out of 8620 carbon steel, so the body's forged. Face is, I think, C300, as they call it, which is the face the face there is super thin, fast. But you can check out all that. They do custom builds as well, so you can kind of custom order these things. You don't just have to do the stock options. Now, the other thing would be interesting is basically people were talking about maybe throw this in like the 4 and 5 iron and then CB six down. I think you'd probably definitely have to mess with the lofts a little bit to dial the gapping in. I think these are significantly longer than the CB. So if you're going to basically throw one of these in, or 1 or 2 or something like that in the long irons, you'd probably have to do a little bit of tweaking to get it to match up just right. I don't think it just blends right in perfectly. I think the shape is fine. The shape blends in well. I just don't know distance-wise. You'd probably have to tweak it a little bit and get it set up for your specs. But overall, I think the Dynapower Forged is a really good option. I think if you're someone who's looking at, something like ZX5s, the Callaway Apex iron that's out right now. I know everybody's kind of waiting to see what happens there, but the current Apex iron, any of those there, I'd say, honestly, even if you're playing a 790, this thing's a little bit bigger. I think it could play in that realm. It's got a little less offset, but I think it could play in that realm. This 790 might be a touch straighter, a touch more forgiving, but I don't think you lose much, and these things kind of, for me, launch a little bit higher and land a little bit softer. So Dynapower Forged, I think really solid irons. Wilson did a really nice job with these, and if you're out looking for irons, these are definitely worth trying out because I think they'll definitely impress you with how well they perform. But just really good irons. They did really well. I was really impressed with them, and yeah, they're definitely worth taking a look at. So, have you heard of this company, OluKai? OluKai. It's 2 Hawaiian words that mean comfort and ocean, and their shoes, they deliver. They're making golf shoes now, and they are as comfortable as the legendary sandals. I'm a sandal wearer, been wearing them for a long time. And maybe you've seen the shoes on the Brine Bros or Grant Horvat, but take it from us, you will never want to take them off. Available in both men's and women's styles. They're waterproof leather, sporty, spikeless. Get a pair now at OluKai.com. So then we also, not only do we do the old Dynapower Forged, but the one that I know a lot of people have asked me about is the new staff model CB. I know a lot of people ask about the MB as well, and honestly, I've hit a couple with the MB, but I don't have the game for MBs. I just don't. But the CB, yes, looks really, really good. They did a really nice job with this iron. The CB is basically a full kind of one-piece forged iron, and it is basically the new cavity back. So they push some of the, it's forged out of 8620 carbon steel, chrome plated. Decent amount of perimeter weighting to it. The cavity is actually a little bit bigger and a little bit deeper than I thought it would be. I thought this would be kind of like a really shallow, kind of barely there. No, they pushed some weight out to the toe. You can definitely tell if you pulled the badge out, there's just even a little more kind of a indentation underneath that silver badging. So decent amount of perimeter weighting, a little bit more weight in the toe. I think the badge lines up really, really well. You almost don't even know it's there. But all silver in the badge, a little Wilson shield. And, of course, the Wilson on the hosel. Now, if you notice, too, down in the hosel, there's a little kind of black plastic plug in there. And we were talking about it at dinner the first night down at Binders. This is kind of a bore, like somebody asked, is that a bore-through? And it's not really a bore-through because the shaft doesn't come through it. It is basically a fluid-feel hosel. So what they do is they basically drill out a hole that goes all the way through. If you really took a drill bit and drilled this whole thing out, there would be a big hole in the hosel of this club. And what they do is they take that mass, that material that's there that's not really needed, and they can move it out to the toe and basically give it better balance, better feel, and shift that CG into the sweet spot they want it to. So something they've been doing, you'll see it on the MB, on the CB. It's not on the Dynapower Forged, but on the CB and MB they have it here. And it's been on quite a lot of their kind of players' irons over the years. But overall shape is really, really good. It's true Wilson, kind of a little different. I mean, the toe, definitely more squared off. Kind of, I don't want to call it stubby, but definitely squared off. The edges are a little bit sharper here than with the Dynapower Forged. The top line isn't insanely thin. Now, when you go to the MB, it's thin, but the CB's actually got just like a little bit of meat to it there, which I like. I like seeing just a little bit of club, making me think that, hey, I don't have to be pinpoint precision on this thing. If I miss it a little bit, I'm going to be okay. Offset is just a very, very tiny bit in the 7-iron. When you get to the 4, you see just a hair more of it. But, I mean, you're talking about offset numbers because I like that Wilson kind of prints everything. But, I mean, the offset on there for a 4-iron is 0.11, and you get down to the pitching wedge, which is 0.05. So I believe that's in millimeters, so not much offset. I mean, the 7-iron here is 0.075, and when you set it down, you can see just, I mean, a hair of offset to it. But very straight leading edge, not too rounded. Love that the sole has a decent amount of kind of roundness to it as well. There's some bounce to it, which is nice. They list the bounce on the 7-iron as 4 degrees. It looks like it's significantly more than that. They list the pitching wedge as 6, but it looks definitely more than that. And I played these early in the year for the first time when we got them in, and it was really soft. And these things got through the turf really, really well. And the turf interaction's really good on these for being a cavity back. The soles do seem maybe just a smidge wider than some other kind of players' true forged CBs, but they get through the turf really quick. They don't dig. They take a pretty medium-sized divot for, depending on how steep you are. But I can get pretty steep, and they don't take a big divot. This sole gets through the turf quick. There's that roundness, kind of the back end is kind of has a little bit of relief, even though you don't see it ground in, and it exits the turf really, really quickly. So overall, really nice. You'll see these things are again all chrome. Middle of it is kind of media blasted, and it's got then you can see the milling pattern on the middle of the face for consistency. And the back cavity is, as I said before, a little bit bigger and a little bit deeper than you would expect. So they've definitely moved some mass around in this thing to ensure that it plays the way they want it to. But I mean, a lot of that toe weighting and taking some of the weight out of the heel plays very neutral, but easy to square up. definitely a club that you can work the ball. You can definitely hit it high, hit it low. You can do kind of all those things. Now these here play a little bit more traditional loft, 46 pitching wedge, 34 sand or 34 7-iron, and a 23-degree 4-iron. So 2 degrees weaker in the pitching wedge, about 4 degrees weaker in the 7-iron, and about 2.5 for the 4-iron. So definitely some different lofts. These play pretty similar to other, like the Ping Blueprint S, the Callaway CBs. I mean, they play pretty similar to those in terms of distance. They're not crazy long. They're not meant to be. They're meant to be precise. They're meant to basically, when you hit it on the face in the center, it's going to go the same distance every single time. And precision-wise, these things hold up pretty well. They've got a little bit of spin to them. Around, I didn't play them down at Pinehurst, so I didn't play them in the hardest, fastest greens. But up here, they have no problem holding the green. They get up in the air pretty easily. But these things you definitely can work. I mean, I was watching one of the guys who went on the member trip to Wilson, and, all of them were great players. And this guy, being a plus like 1.7, could, hit a high draw, hit a stinger, hit a, low fade, hit any shot that he wanted to hit, he could step up and hit with these. He was kind of going between these and the blades, and it was pretty impressive to see him kind of work the ball right, left, high, low, be able to do everything with them. And as I said, looks really, really good. I think they kind of nailed it. I think the look of it's solid. It is definitely a Wilson look, which, is kind of distinct with the toe shape and all that. But I think the chrome is good. Never had any problems so far, even on the sunnier days, with the chrome reflection. I know a couple of these guys had these in their bags that they got fit for on that member trip, and not one of them said anything about the chrome finish and it being reflective or blinding them or anything like that. Sound and feel on these, really, really good. It's one of those, when you hit it in the center, it's kind of like being on TV where you just hear a whoosh, you hear a thud, and the ball just goes. Again, much like, in a different way, you can definitely feel the ball kind of compress off the face on this thing, but it's a little bit different. It's more the ball compressing on the face, whereas the Dynapower Forged, it's kind of the face and ball kind of moving together to really jump off. And this thing doesn't jump off like hot. It jumps off as in like, I just really hammered that ball, and it's just going to go now. But with the other one, the Dynapower Forge is kind of like, a bullet firing out of a barrel. This is just kind of like the sledgehammer hitting the nail. It just drives the thing hard, and you get met with that nice heavy thud. Now, when you mishit it, you are going to get some vibration and some noise. You're going to get a little more click. You're going to get some vibration up to your hands. That just happens with these. Depending on your miss again. If you're just a hair outside center, you're going to be okay. You're still going to feel it. They're very responsive. You're still going to feel that little bit of added vibration and stuff. If you really get it down low on the toe or, high on the toe, something like that, which I've done, you're definitely going to feel it in the hands. It's going to let you know that, hey, you missed it by a good amount. And the distance drop-off is definitely more significant than with the Dynapower Forged. Dynapower Forged, you can miss it off the toe, miss it off the heel, hit it low. You're still going to get some good distance out of it. You're probably still going to get it right in front of the green, right around the green, whatever. There's definitely a drop-off. I mean, there's no flexibility to it. It's just a forged cavity back. There's no tech put into it with the thin face and all that. It is strictly a kind of a precision tool. So when you do miss, it's going to come up short. You're going to miss the green that way. But it stays on line fairly well. They're decently forgiving for what they are. I would say they're definitely somewhat forgiving for being just a CB, just a cavity back like it is. You're not going to get Dynapower Forge type forgiveness out of it, or Ping G430 forgiveness out of it, anything like that. It's not meant for that. It's meant to be to hit the same shot over and over again, and to let a player, a good player, work the ball, and it's able to do that. I mean, it really does. It's I'm not a person who can work the ball, but taking these out, definitely you can see where, even though the flight's kind of high, just because the lofts are weaker, I would say it's kind of again I'd say kind of mid. Where the Dynapower Forge, I call it maybe mid high, but these are kind of mid ball flight. But you can really adjust that depending on the swing. If you play it back a little bit, flight it down, play a little bit forward, hit it high, you can do all those things and, have no problem doing it. Now, mishits go pretty straight. Even though you missed it, the ball still goes pretty straight. It doesn't venture offline too hard. And it's more, it doesn't, because it is a spinnier club, you're going to see a little bit more curvature. So, if you hit it kind of off the toe and you draw it, it's going to draw a little bit more than Dynapower Forged. And the same if you hit it off the heel, you're going to see a little bit more of that fade. But again, that's also part of a better player walking up and purposely hitting it, changing their club path and stuff like that to hit those shots. So there is a little bit of forgiveness with this one. It's significantly more or not significant. It's noticeably more forgiving than the MB. The MB, you got to be pretty precise. You got to hit it in the center. You got to hit it straight to go straight. And if you miss it, it's going to go, wherever your club head dictates the ball goes. And there's no real help here. This has a little bit of help. You're able to play this. I played it 5 through pitching wedge when I was playing these. I didn't, I dropped the 4-iron because, the 4-iron is, I don't need to go that route. And I like having a little bit of added distance there at the top end. But yeah, in terms of these, I would say these compared to Dynapower Forged, it's easy half a club, if not 3/4 of a club longer with the Dynapower Forged than these. I mean, these they don't have a ton of distance, but again, that's not what they're built for. They're built for precision distance control and being able to hit the same shot over and over again. And I think they do that really well. And I think a lot of people who know about the staff model, whether it's a CB, MB, they understand it and they know it's good. They know it, feels good, sounds good, is going to play well. So that's a bit, not a huge thing. I think a lot of players who haven't tried this, especially if you're in this kind of category across the board, if you're looking at, stuff like the 243 from Mizuno or, the 620 CB from Titleist, the Callaway CBs, any of those, if you're looking kind of that CB market, these are definitely in there. I think, the Strixon ZX7s might be a little bit more forgiving. These are just, I think, a touch more compact. They don't quite look as long heel to toe, a little bit more proportionate there. They probably have just a slightly taller face from sole to top. They don't look as long heel to toe as compared to the ZX7s, but these things are good. I mean, like I said, I watched some really good players play some rounds of these and hit some really fantastic shots into greens that, that they were able to hit them, play different shots, they were able to flight them down in the wind, they were able to hit them high when they needed to, they were able to kind of do everything and work the ball the way a good player does. So for me, I'm just out there trying to hit it straight, and I can do it. I mean, these are one of those things where, I'm a 10, I fluctuate between 9 and 10. And handicap, and honestly, on a good day, I can go play these. I can put them in the bag. I can go play. Now the 5-iron gets a little bit sketchy off the deck or off the turf, but the rest of the set is pretty darn good. Off the tee, I can hit the 5-iron. It's just on those days where I'm not swinging amazing that you definitely noticed those misses drop off. You don't hit the green. You're not right in front, just like chipping off the fringe. You're in the rough, or you're further back and you have a little longer chip. So those things, you do notice that drop off when you miss it on these compared to the Dynapower Forge. But if you're a player looking, a skill player looking to work the ball and hit the different shots, these things are going to be right up there. And, to say, are these better than any other Forged CB out there or whatnot, I don't know if you really can say that. I mean, they're very similar. Performance, number-wise, I bet they're not that crazy different. I mean, again, there's not a ton of tech in these. So, it's one of those, if you pick them up and look at them and they look good, you might give them a shot. And I think they're definitely worth giving a shot. I think they feel good. I think, Wilson's done a nice job with the sound and feel. It's extremely solid. And then in terms of playability, I think they're, a sole that'll work on tight lies. It'll work on softer lies. The design will let players, work it. There's just, they kind of do a whole lot. They're just not crazy forgiving. But the overall sound and feel, great. Looks great. They just perform really well for what they are. I mean, for being a CB, they do really, really well. So these here, again, you can kind of get 4 through pitching wedge. And I think if you like kind of customize them, I think they can do, if you go to those, there's actually a gap wedge, a 2-iron, a 3-iron, a 4-iron to go with this thing. So you could get a whole lot of irons. You could have a 2-iron. You could have a gap wedge. You could have a whole lot of Wilson staff model blades or CBs in there. So pretty cool. But these are great, are nice CBs. I think they're really good. They're not crazy small. They just kind of perform really well. They're not insanely forgiving, but they're also not crazy demanding in terms of being hit. That you have to hit, dime them out, as people call it. They always hit it in the dead center and wear that spot out. you can miss it a little bit and be okay. But yeah, the staff model blade or the staff model CB, I think is really good. I think if you're looking for a CB, it's definitely worth trying out, especially shape wise. If it grabs your eye, they're pretty attractive. And again, same thing with the Dynapower Forged, being all chrome. Didn't have any problem with glare or anything like that. Even with like the 9-iron pitching wedge, those higher lofted irons where you'd think you get that, I didn't have a problem. Maybe it was just angle of the sun or whatnot, but definitely not anything I had to worry about. So that is the Wilson Dynapower Forged, the Wilson Staff Model CB. Both absolutely phenomenal irons. Definitely worth checking out. WilsonGolf.com or Wilson.com. Go to the golf side. Check out all the specs on both. Really good irons. I think they're definitely something worth, if you're looking for new irons this year, definitely worth trying out both of them if they're in kind of the class that you're looking for. So go try them out. You'll definitely be, I think, pleasantly surprised. And yeah, that's all I've got. So remember, show is brought to you by Titleist, the Pro V1, Pro V1X. Go to Titleist.com. Find out which ball is right for you. If you want to follow me on Instagram, please do, at ClubJunkiePod. Hit me up on, if you're watching this on YouTube, awesome. Please like, subscribe, all that. That'd be great. And, yeah, going to go play some golf tonight. Hopefully play well, and then play this weekend. So we'll see. But hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and we'll talk to you next week.